If you pay attention to global shifts right now, you'll notice something. The world is moving toward a system of control that many have spoken of long ago. In fact, if you live in certain countries, the day may come when stepping away from that system will be your only option. I want to highlight 3 nations, not because they're identical, but because each one demonstrates a different approach to building that system. 1. China. Control by design. If there were ever a testing ground for a society run by surveillance and digital ID, China would be it. What others still describe as the future is already daily life for its people. Mandatory face scans for internet access, a social credit system that defines privileges based on behavior, a central bank-controlled digital currency woven into nearly every transaction. This is not speculative. Companies like Alipay and WeChat Pay transformed payments so quickly that cash has all but vanished. Now, with the introduction of palm-based biometric scanning, China is positioned to roll directly into the next stage, a system where identity and commerce are inseparable. For citizens, the shift from a digital ID to something even more permanent would barely even feel like a leap. It would feel like the next logical step. 2. America dependence, masquerading as convenience. Unlike China, America won't present such control openly. Instead, it will arrive quietly, wrapped in the language of innovation and safety. Imagine being told, "This new tool will protect your identity. It will stop fraud and make your life easier." It's not about control, it's about convenience. In that environment, many will willingly sign on. But convenience has a cost. What happens when access to your money depends not on choice, but on compliance. If your bank account freezes until you scan your hand, the message becomes clear. Survival without cooperation will be nearly impossible. With cash fading, digital IDs rolling out, and central bank digital currencies being tested, the system isn't being built. It's already waiting in the background. 3. Sweden. Acceptance through culture. Sweden illustrates a third model, social embrace. Here, the move toward cashlessness is already celebrated. People implant chips in their hands, waving them at ticket scanners, food counters, and office doors. Convenience has become the badge of progress. Few resist because opting out in this culture doesn't just make you different, it makes you the odd one standing against the current of society. This isn't enforcement through armies or laws. It's enforcement through peer pressure and cultural pride. If China is hard control and America is engineered dependence, Sweden is voluntary surrender masked as modern living. What these nations represent: China, direct enforcement America, dependence disguised as choice Sweden, soft cultural exclusion. Together, they show how one global framework can appear in multiple disguises, all leading toward the same destination. A society where participation requires compliance. Beyond nations, wars and signs. Now, some look at conflicts around the world and assume war is the greatest signal of the end. But war is not new. It has shadowed humanity from the beginning. What Jesus actually emphasized first was deception. He warned that false teachers and false saviors would multiply, and that wars, famines, and disasters were part of the birth pains, not the main event. Prophecy describes dramatic battles to come, Gog and Magog in Ezekiel, and ultimately Armageddon, where the powers of the world gather but are undone not by human armies, but by divine intervention. The script is clear. Deception is the first alarm bell, war is a secondary sign, and judgment is certain. How God still speaks. These warnings about deception tie back to hearing God's voice clearly. In Scripture, God spoke through fire, wind, thunder, visions, and gentle whispers. Today, He still speaks through His Spirit and His Word. Sometimes it's an impression in the heart. Sometimes it's a verse that lights up with new meaning. Always it is consistent with His truth. The key is discernment. If deception is the first sign of the times, then listening carefully to God through scripture, prayer, and the Spirit's prompting is the first safeguard. Closing thought. Whether in China, America, Sweden, or anywhere else, the systems we see rising aren't random. They are preparing a stage. The choice will not always be about whether you can resist strongly enough, but whether you've already anchored your faith deeply enough to stand when convenience, fear, or pressure push in.